Bernie Sanders won, I love the way the New York Times puts it, an unexpected victory over Hillary Clinton. Though it was not enough to halt her march to the nomination. Well, I'll tell you what, Kathy is making a believer out of me here. I just looked at the whole Hillary Clinton attack shit by the Benghazi committee and all this other stuff as just or the emails, just an extension of that. No big deal. It's just this Hillary Clinton derangement that you find in every goddamn member of the Republican Party. But Kathy has been telling me, and I haven't been paying attention, that the worst thing Bernie Sanders could do right now would be to get out. Because if and when the FBI presents enough information to a federal grand jury that results in an indictment of Hillary Clinton, these are not minor charges. These are not misdemeanors. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. Look what they did to David Petraeus for essentially the same thing. But if Sanders were to leave the field right now, it would be the worst thing that Sanders could do for himself and for the rest of the country. And I'm starting to smell indictment. Or plural indictments. I know. Oh, it's a fucking emails. Who cares? No, that's not the case. Now, regardless of who and what Hillary Clinton is, regardless of her neoliberal bullshit, that the result of which is burning in Alberta, Canada tonight. No, really. These policies of not paying any attention to global warming, these policies of Clinton's of inducing countries around the world to continue fracking or to develop fracking, release more of this shit into the atmosphere. Let's go. Let's fucking burn up the planet. Let's just go, okay? Am I yelling too much, Kathy? What have you got in your jaw?
What I'm going to be interested in finding out is if they can connect the dots between Bill Clinton's previously undisclosed
Can't hear you very
trip
good.
to Libya and some $500,000 contributions to the Clinton Foundation right around the Benghazi time that seemed to have just been a little too conveniently spaced in time, and another fact that was not released in a timely fashion. In fact, it was only just recently discovered, I think, in March, about this trip that Bill made to meet with Libyan leaders. It's really, this could be so big. I can't tell you. Everybody just needs to start connecting some dots. We need the spotlight journalists. I mean, I'm not a journalist. I'm not an investigator, but I mean, I've got eyes and a brain, and I can read. And I also think it's just a little bit too glaring that the mainstream media isn't touching it. There's got to be a reason. You know, again, it's like we teach Molly. Question everything. What are you hearing? What are you not hearing? What's the motivation between what you're hearing and what you're not hearing? Even Trump. I mean, this is what is galling to me. Trump, who will invent a scandal. He'll talk about, JFK assassinations and Ted Cruz's wife's looks. And, he'll invent crap, or Ted Cruz's extramarital affairs. He'll invent something if he can't find a scandal. And here's something real staring him in the face. He's not even mentioning it?
Well, I wouldn't. Trump is a dumbass. Trump can't see beyond what's put right in front of him.
Well,
and he's a petty dumbass. So
okay,
he goes after this.
I can't believe.
Wait. He goes after this little nit shit stuff, okay? My question is, why hasn't the New York Times or the Washington Post or the LA Times
or the Boston
or
Globe,
the Guardian just ripped the goddamn cover off all this?
I don't know. And that is the mystery. And it's just... that we'll find out, I hope, one day why it's taken the FBI this long and why there's not a peep in the press. But I'm beginning to think Charles Grassley is right, though.
I think the reason that corporate media is not touching this is because they're corporate media. I don't, I don't want to sound like some asshole that reads Breitbart, but the obligations of free press in this country have just been kicked to the curb. There is more information in the New York Times about goddamn sports every day than there is about the major catastrophe facing this planet. And what's happening in Alberta is just the beginning, or part of the beginning. It's astonishing.
Yeah, and as much as I think Judicial Watch is just seriously a witch hunt organization, but they have compiled actual documents. I mean, they have, this is not just bullshit they're making up. These are physical pieces of paper that came out of, FOIA requests that have finally been released on order of a federal judge that Bill Clinton appointed.
Right.
So there's not any partisan crap going on here. And when you're reading the production of documents that are public record now because of the FOIA requests, Judicial Watch versus U.S. Department of State, you can find these online, not just on Judicial Watch, which I can't stand Judicial Watch. I mean, trust me, it makes my sphincters all twitchy to even mention Judicial Watch.
Back during the Clinton impeachment, Larry Klayman was a piece of shit that you wanted to scrape off the bottom of your shoe with Judicial Watch.
But it's like the National Enquirer turning up the dirt on John Edwards and his affair, which is nothing compared to any of this. I mean, sometimes the most discreditable sources turn up actual information. And if you look at these email chain, it looks like it certainly hints that a lot of the cover-up, a lot of the destruction of email happened as a result of links between Bill Clinton's speeches, for which he got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars that went into the Clinton Global Initiative Fund, in these foreign countries. A lot of the destroyed email were apparently related to the timing of those things and those clandestine events that were going on while Hillary was at state. So it sort of greased her way, to these big money contributions for the Clinton Foundation to have her as Secretary of State. And if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. And if it wasn't a conflict of interest, then why destroy the email chain? Why put it on a private server? I'll tell you why put it on a private server, because then if it's not at the State Department, it can't be part of an FOIA request if it's on your private server. Then there is no freedom of information compelling anybody to release information on a private server. But you know what is bad about a private server? If you're accessing your private server from, say, your laptop or your cell phone when you're traveling to a foreign country, it's eminently hackable. You can watch teenagers, on Dateline NBC doing it at a mall. Watch me set up a server and see how many people join to it and let me get access into their computers. And of course she's checking her email over a mobile device in a foreign country. If that's connecting to a private server, there's no encryption, there's nothing. There's national secrets could just be spilling out into the internet. And that can result in the death of certain consulate members in Libya. So, I'm just saying this, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's smoke and mirrors and I'm full of it.
It's not
but this
nothing.
Stinks so badly.
It's not nothing.
This stinks really badly.
And don't we know that was not a consulate? Don't we know what was in Benghazi?
That wasn't a consulate.
No,
they weren't conducting any consulary business.
We do know what was in Benghazi. I'm reaching into the ozone here. But don't we know that Benghazi was an outpost in Libya where we used to rendition people that we wanted tortured?
Sure.
Wasn't it an outpost where even during the time that the Benghazi attack occurred, there were people being held inside that compound who, you might guess, were being tortured?
Right.
So, the whole thing... remember Watergate was a third-rate burglary. Remember that? Remember when it was labeled a third-rate, there's no there.
Right.
And look what happened as a result of a janitor noticing that a lock had been taped open.
With a piece of Scotch
Holy
tape.
fuck.
That's all it took.
Third-grade burglary, or third-grade burglary.
Third-rate burglary.
Burglary.
It took 2 years for people to even notice that none of her records were at the State Department.
Yeah.
None of the records of her business at the State Department were at the State Department. Now, why not? Where were they? In her possession. And then she selected which one she was going to disseminate to the State Department when it was under investigation, finally by the FBI. She decided which ones were going to go. I mean, it's just stinky. It's really, really smelly. And I hate to tell people to go read Judicial Watch. Don't read Judicial Watch. Just find their documents on a Politico website, or Huffington Post had a piece today. Drips and drabs. It's starting to leak out, I think, a little bit into more trustworthy sources. I don't know why the New York Times hasn't picked up on this. I don't know why there's not a team of journalists really doing some work into this. Respected journalists. I don't know. And that's part of the mystery to me. Why not? Why not? Because I swear to God, we're on the verge of a special prosecutor being, being put on the case here. The guy who set up her private server pled the fifth.
Until they granted him
and now
immunity.
He's got immunity.
Right.
And he's going to be compelled to talk. Now, he's the one that set up this private server, and then he became an information technology specialist at the State Department.
Well, the
after
thing,
that.
one of the aspects of this that is galling to me is the meme that's out there is, it's just an email. Just like Bernie Sanders turned to her during that first debate. Frankly, Mrs. Secretary, I'm sick of hearing about your emails. Email's my ass.
Right.
That's the meme. That's the cover. A third-rate burglary.
Right.
No, what? Oh, no big deal. Forget
Right.
about it.
Right.
Jesus H. Christ.
And the Clinton Foundation had to acknowledge a $500,000 contribution that was given to them 2 days after the Libyan attack by Desai, or whatever his name is, the foreign policy
Foreign minister?
Foreign minister,
of
Libya. $500,000 contribution. I mean, and that's part of case number 1.13CV-007. I mean, these have document numbers. I mean, this is not. These haven't been fabricated. This is not Obama's birth certificate faked up with Photoshop. I mean, these are court documents. These are legal records.
Right.
So, oh my God. I mean, anyway, I'm going to stop ranting about it. I need to do more research.
You did the research on this.
And I need to do.
You're telling me things. You were showing me things today. I was just pretty much convinced that this is a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of smoke and no fire, a bunch of hot air, emails, schmeemails. Who cares?
And maybe it is, but if
No,
it's just too muddy.
Not with what they're digging out.
It just looks really, really slimy.
Well, let's hope that, and I don't mean let's hope, because Sanders has stated categorically he's riding this horse to the finish line.
Well, he better.
No matter what.
Right.
Because
and
when
my fear
she's
is,
if and when she's indicted, what's the Democratic Party going to do at that